a once powerful kingdom, a nation born from the lineage of Lot, a people who defied Israel and stood against God's chosen ones. Who were the Ammonites, and why did they vanish from history, from mighty kings who waged war against Israel, to prophetic warnings that foretold their downfall? The Ammonites left behind a story filled with conquest, betrayal, and divine judgment. Why did God condemn the Ammonites? How did they rise to power, only to disappear without a trace? And what shocking biblical prophecies were fulfilled about their fate? Stay with us until the end, because we'll uncover lost biblical secrets and reveal how history and prophecy collide to explain the fate of the Ammonites. But before we begin, we need your support to spread biblical truth. If you're passionate about uncovering lost history and understanding the Bible like never before, then like this video to help more people discover this message. Subscribe and turn on all notifications so you never miss our deep dives into biblical history. Comment below, what do you know about the Ammonites? We'd love to hear your thoughts, and share this video with friends and family to spread the word. Prepare yourself as we journey back in time to uncover the lost history of the Ammonites. Let's begin. The origins of the Ammonites are deeply rooted in biblical history, tracing back to Lot, the nephew of Abraham. Lot played a crucial role in the early biblical narrative, journeying alongside Abraham, then Abram, as they left Ur of the Chaldees. Genesis chapter 12 verses 1 to 5, in obedience to God's call. Eventually, Lot settled in the fertile but morally corrupt region of Sodom, which later faced divine judgment. The Ammonite story begins in the aftermath of God's fiery judgment upon Sodom and Gomorrah. Genesis chapter 19 verses 24 to 25. As fire and brimstone rained down upon the cities, Lot and his 2 daughters fled at the instruction of the angels, seeking refuge in the mountains of Zoar. However, after witnessing such catastrophic destruction, Lot's daughters believed that all civilization had been annihilated and that they were the only survivors left in the world. Fearing the extinction of their father's lineage, they devised a desperate plan to ensure their family's survival. They intoxicated Lot with wine on 2 consecutive nights and conceived children by him without his knowledge. This resulted in the birth of 2 sons, as stated in Genesis chapter 19 verses 36 to 38. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son, and called his name Ben-Ammi. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. This account, while controversial, sets the foundation for the emergence of these 2 nations. The Ammonites, like their Moabite relatives, would go on to inhabit the lands east of the Jordan River, playing significant roles in Israel's history. The descendants of Ben-Ammi, known as the Ammonites, eventually established themselves in the region known as Ammon, which corresponds to modern-day Jordan. The capital of their territory was Rabbah, later called Rabbath Ammon, now Amman, Jordan. The Ammonites and Moabites were closely related due to their shared ancestry. Both were descendants of Lot, and both settled in regions east of the Jordan River. However, despite their familial ties, the 2 nations had distinct cultural and political identities, and often found themselves entangled in conflicts, both with each other and with Israel. The Ammonites established their kingdom east of the Jordan River, in a land known as Ammon. This territory, situated between the Arnon River to the south and the Jabbok River to the north, was an area of strategic and economic importance. Today, this region corresponds to modern Jordan with its ancient capital, Rabbah, Rabbath Ammon, now known as Amman, Jordan's capital city. The land of Ammon was fertile, well-suited for agriculture, and rich in natural resources. Its position along major trade routes, particularly the King's Highway, made it a hub for commerce and interaction with neighboring civilizations. This route was a crucial ancient trade and military road that connected Egypt to Mesopotamia, passing through Edom, Moab, Ammon, and Bashan. Because of its strategic location, the Ammonites maintained both economic and military strength. often engaging in trade, alliances, and warfare with surrounding nations, including Israel, Moab, Edom, and Aram, modern Syria. God himself designated the land of Ammon as a possession for the descendants of Lot, instructing the Israelites not to take it when they entered the promised land. Deuteronomy chapter 2 verse 19. And when thou comest nigh over against the children of Ammon, distress them not, nor meddle with them, for I will not give thee of the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I have given it unto the children of Lot for a possession. This decree shows that despite later hostilities, the Ammonites' land was divinely allocated, just like the Moabites' territory. The Israelites were to respect these boundaries, though tensions between the two nations would later arise. Throughout biblical history, the Ammonites were frequent enemies of Israel, engaging in raids, territorial disputes, and outright wars. Their hostility toward Israel was evident from the time of the Exodus and continued for centuries. Despite their shared ancestry as descendants of Lot, the Ammonites consistently opposed God's chosen people. One of the earliest conflicts between the Ammonites and Israel occurred when the Israelites were traveling toward Canaan after being freed from Egypt. The Ammonites, along with the Moabites, refused to assist Israel during their journey, denying them passage through their land. Instead of offering aid, they actively opposed them. Deuteronomy chapter 23 verses 3 to 4. An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord. Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever, because they met you not with bread and with water in the way, when ye came forth out of Egypt, and because they hired against thee Balaam the son of Beor of Pethor of Mesopotamia to curse thee. Not only did the Ammonites refuse aid, but they also participated in hiring Balaam a prophet from Mesopotamia to curse Israel. Numbers chapter 22 to 24. However, God intervened, and instead of cursing Israel, Balaam blessed them multiple times. One of the most significant battles between Israel and the Ammonites occurred during the time of Jephthah, a judge of Israel. The Ammonites falsely claimed that Israel had stolen their land when they came up from Egypt, demanding its return. Judges chapter 11 verse 13. And the king of the children of Ammon answered unto the messengers of Jephthah, because Israel took away my land, when they came up out of Egypt, from Arnon even unto Jabbok, and unto Jordan. Now therefore restore those lands again peaceably. The Ammonites argued that the Israelites had occupied their land when they settled east of the Jordan River. However, Jephthah responded with a historical account, proving that Israel had actually taken the land from the Amorites, not the Ammonites. Jephthah reminded the Ammonites that God himself had given Israel victory over the Amorites, and the land was now Israel's rightful possession. He also pointed out that despite having 300 years to reclaim it, the Ammonites had taken no action until now. Judges chapter 11 verses 23 to 24. So now the Lord God of Israel hath dispossessed the Amorites from before his people Israel, and shouldest thou possess it? Wilt not thou possess that which Chemosh thy God giveth thee to possess? So whomsoever the Lord our God shall drive out from before us, them will we possess. Despite Jephthah's peaceful attempts, the Ammonites insisted on war. As a result, God delivered them into Jephthah's hands, and Israel achieved a decisive victory. Judges chapter 11 verses 32 to 33. So Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands. And he smote them from Aroer, even till thou come to Minnith, even 20 cities, and unto the plain of the vineyards, with a very great slaughter. Thus the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. This battle demonstrated once again that God was on Israel's side, protecting them from their enemies. While several Ammonite leaders are mentioned in the Bible, two stand out in particular: King Nahash and King Hanun. One of the most infamous Ammonite kings was King Nahash, who ruled during the time of King Saul. Nahash was known for his ruthless oppression of the Israelites, particularly those living in the region of Jabesh-Gilead. During his reign, Nahash laid siege to Jabesh-Gilead, demanding a cruel condition for surrender. that every Israelite man in the city gouge out his right eye as a sign of submission. 1 Samuel chapter 11 verse 2. And Nahash the Ammonite answered them, On this condition will I make a covenant with you, that I may thrust out all your right eyes and lay it for a reproach upon all Israel. This humiliating and crippling demand was meant to render the Israelites militarily useless, as soldiers typically held their shields with their left hand and used their right eye to aim in battle. Removing their right eye would weaken them permanently, ensuring that they could never pose a military threat to the Ammonites again. When word of Nahash's cruelty reached Saul, he was filled with the Spirit of God and responded with righteous anger. He quickly rallied the Israelites, raising an army to defeat the Ammonites and rescue Jabesh-Gilead. 1 Samuel chapter 11 verses 6 to 7. And the Spirit of God came upon Saul when he heard those tidings, and his anger was kindled greatly. And he took a yoke of oxen, and hewed them in pieces, and sent them throughout all the coasts of Israel by the hands of messengers, saying, Whosoever cometh not forth after Saul and after Samuel, so shall it be done unto his oxen. And the fear of the Lord fell on the people, and they came out with one consent. Under Saul's leadership, the Israelite army crushed the Ammonites, securing a resounding victory. 1 Samuel chapter 11 verse 11. And it was so on the morrow that Saul put the people in 3 companies. And they came into the midst of the host in the morning watch, and slew the Ammonites until the heat of the day. And it came to pass that they which remained were scattered, so that 2 of them were not left together. This victory solidified Saul's kingship, and proved that God was with him in leading Israel. Nahash's defeat marked a turning point in Israel's military strength and national unity. During King David's reign, the Ammonites once again became Israel's enemies, this time under King Hanun, the son of Nahash. Initially, David extended kindness to Hanun after the death of his father. However, Hanun's advisors misinterpreted David's gesture, assuming that his envoys were spies sent to overthrow Ammon. Instead of receiving David's men with honor, Hanun humiliated them in a public display of disgrace. 2 Samuel chapter 10 verse 4 to 5. Wherefore Hanun took David's servants and shaved off the 1/2 of their beards and cut off their garments in the middle, even to their buttocks, and sent them away. When they told it unto David, he sent to meet them, because the men were greatly ashamed. This public humiliation was a direct insult to King David and all of Israel. As in ancient Near Eastern culture, a man's beard was a sign of honor and dignity. Cutting off half of their beards and exposing their bodies was meant to shame them. David, angered by this insult, declared war on Ammon. The Ammonites, realizing they had provoked Israel, hired Aramean Syrian mercenaries to help them in battle. 2 Samuel chapter 10 verse 6. And when the children of Ammon saw that they stank before David, the children of Ammon sent and hired the Syrians of Beth-rehob, and the Syrians of Zobah, 20,000 footmen, and of King Maacah 1,000 men, and of Ishtob 12,000 men. David sent Joab, his military commander, to confront the combined Ammonite-Syrian forces. With God's help, the Israelites defeated the Arameans, and the Ammonites retreated in fear. 2 Samuel chapter 10 verses 13 to 14. And Joab drew nigh, and the people that were with him, unto the battle against the Syrians, and they fled before him. And when the children of Ammon saw that the Syrians were fled, then fled they also before Abishai, and entered into the city. Later, David himself led the final assault, capturing Rabbah, the capital of Ammon. After a long siege, Rabbah fell to Israel's forces, and David claimed the Ammonite king's crown as a symbol of victory. 2 Samuel chapter 12 verses 26 to 30. And Joab fought against Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and took the royal city. And he took their king's crown from off his head, the weight whereof was a talent of gold with the precious stones, and it was set on David's head. And he brought forth the spoil of the city in great abundance. David subjugated Ammon, making them a vassal state under Israel's control. The Ammonites, once a powerful and strategic nation, gradually declined in strength and influence over the centuries. Their history is marked by wars, conflicts with Israel, and alliances with foreign empires, but eventually their identity as a distinct people was lost. The Bible provides prophecies and historical records that trace their fall from power, culminating in their eventual disappearance from history. As time passed, the Ammonites continued to exist as a nation, but their strength was greatly diminished. By the time of the Babylonian Empire, 6th century BC, Ammon had been absorbed into larger surrounding kingdoms and lost its autonomy. The Bible records several key moments in their decline. Number 1. The Ammonites' role in the fall of Judah. During the time of the Babylonian conquest, the Ammonites actively opposed Judah and rejoiced at its downfall. They took advantage of Israel's destruction, seeking to expand their own territory. However, God pronounced judgment upon them for their arrogance and hostility toward his people. Jeremiah chapter 49 verse 1. Concerning the Ammonites, thus saith the Lord, hath Israel no sons, hath he no heir? Why then doth their king inherit Gad, and his people dwell in his cities? The Ammonites seized Israelite land after the Babylonians exiled the people of Judah. But their time of prosperity was short-lived. God decreed that war would come to their land, leaving it desolate and in ruins. Number 2, the prophecy of Ammon's destruction. Through the prophet Jeremiah, God declared that Rabbah, the Ammonite capital, would be destroyed. Jeremiah chapter 49 verse 2. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Rabbah of the Ammonites, and it shall be a desolate heap, and her daughters shall be burned with fire. Then shall Israel be heir unto them that were his heirs, saith the Lord. This prophecy foretold that Ammon's cities would be reduced to ruins and their land would be taken over by others. Historically, this came to pass when the Babylonians invaded Ammon, devastating the kingdom and incorporating it into their empire. The Ammonites' decline was not just historical but also prophetic. The Bible predicted their downfall, stating that they would ultimately fade from existence. In Ezekiel's prophecy, God declared that the Ammonites would suffer judgment for their actions against Israel. Ezekiel chapter 25 verses 6 to 7. For thus saith the Lord God, because thou hast clapped thine hands, and stamped with the feet, and rejoiced in heart with all thy despite against the land of Israel, behold, therefore I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and will deliver thee for a spoil to the heathen, and I will cut thee off from the people. And I will cause thee to perish out of the countries, I will destroy thee, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. This prophecy was fulfilled as the Ammonites were absorbed into other cultures, lost their national identity, and ceased to exist as an independent people. Zephaniah also prophesied that the land of Ammon would be left desolate, with its former lands inhabited by other peoples. Zephaniah chapter 2 verse 9. Therefore as I live, saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, surely Moab shall be as Sodom, and the children of Ammon as Gomorrah, even the breeding of nettles and salt pits, and a perpetual desolation. The residue of my people shall spoil them, and the remnant of my people shall possess them. This was fulfilled as Ammon's land changed hands multiple times, eventually losing all trace of its original Ammonite rulers and inhabitants. By the time of Jesus and the early church, the Ammonites were no longer mentioned as a distinct nation or people. Their former territory had been fully absorbed into Roman and Greek culture, and their identity disappeared from history. Unlike the Moabites and Edomites, who still had some mention during the Second Temple period, the Ammonites had completely faded, making them one of the biblical nations that disappeared entirely. Today, the ancient land of Ammon corresponds to modern-day Jordan, particularly around its capital, Amman, formerly Rabbah Ammon, Philadelphia. While the ruins of their cities remain, their people are no longer identifiable as a separate group. Archaeological excavations in Jordan have revealed inscriptions, pottery, and ruins from the Ammonite civilization, but no continuing descendants exist to identify as Ammonites today. In conclusion, the Ammonites, once a powerful and strategic nation, gradually weakened due to wars, foreign domination, and divine judgment. Their history is a testament to the accuracy of biblical prophecy. as every prediction about their destruction and disappearance was fulfilled. Despite their efforts to resist Israel and take advantage of their downfall, God decreed their end, and today they exist only in ruins and historical records. The story of the Ammonites reminds us of how nations rise and fall. Their opposition to God's people led to their downfall. It also teaches us that even those with a connection to God's people as descendants of Lot can turn against his will and face judgment. This is a call for us to remain faithful to God's plan and not oppose his people. History proves that those who stand against God's purposes ultimately fall. The Ammonites were once a mighty people, but they vanished from history, just as the Bible foretold. Their story is a powerful testament to God's sovereignty over nations. If you enjoyed this deep dive into biblical history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with others who love learning about the Bible. Which ancient people do you want us to cover next? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you.